Have you ever found yourself scratching the same spot again and again without knowing why? It starts small. Maybe behind your ears, maybe on your lower back, and you think, it's just dry skin. But when you're over 60, your body whispers in different ways, and sometimes an itch isn't just an itch. It's a signal, a quiet warning, a tap on the shoulder from your health saying, pay attention. I learned that lesson the hard way. It was last winter when I noticed an odd itch right in the center of my back. I brushed it off. Thought it was the cold or maybe my wool sweater. But weeks passed. The itch stayed. And soon I found myself waking up at 3 a.m., restless and irritated, digging at that same spot. Turns out I wasn't alone. A study from the National Institute on Aging revealed that chronic itching in seniors isn't just a skin problem, it's often a symptom of something deeper, something inside the body. And depending on where it shows up, it could even hint at liver disease, diabetes, nerve damage, or kidney failure. Today I want to share with you 4 specific itchy spots that older adults should never ignore and what they might mean for your long-term health. Not to scare you, but to empower you. Because growing older doesn't mean growing careless. It means learning to listen to the signs your body gives you and the wisdom time has taught you. Let's begin. 1. Itchy lower legs. When circulation starts to fail. You know that tight, nagging itch on your calves that shows up like clockwork every evening? I used to chalk it up to dry skin or maybe the detergent I used for my socks. But as it turns out, it was something far deeper and far more dangerous. Gary, a man I met at my local senior center, had been dealing with the same thing. At 74, he was still pretty active, still drove himself to appointments, still had his wits about him. But those itchy legs became his constant companion. And soon he began noticing swelling in his ankles. His skin started to change color, becoming darker and tighter around his lower legs. Eventually his doctor told him the truth. Gary had chronic venous insufficiency, a condition where the valves in the veins of the legs stop working properly, causing blood to pool instead of flowing back to the heart. What's scary is that according to a study published in the Journal of Vascular Surgery, more than 40% of older adults over 65 experience some form of venous insufficiency, and one of the earliest signs isn't pain or swelling. It's itching. The itching is caused by the buildup of fluid and pressure under the skin, leading to inflammation. Lotion doesn't help. In fact, if you find yourself applying cream but the itch keeps coming back, especially in the evening, it might be your veins trying to send you a message. Senior health, especially in the legs, is often overlooked because people think slow walking or swelling is just normal aging. But if you're over 60 and experiencing persistent, itchy legs, it's worth a conversation with your doctor. This isn't about vanity, it's about longevity. It's about staying strong, independent, and informed. If this sounds like something you've gone through, I'd love to hear your story in the comments below. These little things we ignore, they're often the ones that matter most. 2. Itchy upper back or shoulders. A nerve. Trying to speak. Most people think of itching as a skin problem, but sometimes it's not your skin at all. It's your spine. Let me introduce you to Clara. She's 69, a retired music teacher with a voice that still sounds like velvet. For months, she kept scratching the same spot right between her shoulder blades. Nothing worked. Creams, antihistamines, oatmeal baths, you name it. She tried it. Finally, she went to a neurologist. After a few scans and some tests, she was diagnosed with something called brachioradial pruritus. It's a condition where the nerves in the neck and upper spine get compressed often from age-related degeneration, causing a constant itching sensation in the upper arms or back. Now, here's the science. A study in the British Journal of Dermatology found that this type of itch is neuropathic, meaning it comes from damaged or irritated nerves rather than the skin itself. And it's most common in people over the age of 60, particularly women with long-term sun exposure and minor cervical spine compression. What does that mean for us? It means that if you've got an itch in your upper back or shoulders that won't go away, especially one that seems immune to every lotion in the house, it might not be your skin, it might be your spine, or a vitamin B12 deficiency, or both. Clara began a physical therapy routine, added vitamin B12 to her diet, and reduced her screen time at night to lessen neck strain. Within 2 months, the itch started to fade. Not disappear completely, but fade. And the emotional toll? That was harder. It made me feel like my body was betraying me, she said. But learning it wasn't just in my head, it gave me hope. Elderly wisdom teaches us this. Sometimes the body doesn't shout, it whispers. And if we don't listen, those whispers can turn into something louder, something more dangerous. So if you feel like you're itching more than usual and in the same place, don't write it off. It could be your body trying to tell you something deeper. And if you found this helpful so far, share it with someone you care about. Someone over 60. A parent, a friend, a neighbor. Because none of us should have to walk through aging. 3. Itchy scalp. Not just dry skin, but a hidden warning. Most of us, as we get older, chalk up an itchy scalp to dry winter air or maybe using the wrong shampoo. I did too. Until I realized it wasn't just dryness, it was a signal I had ignored for far too long. Back in 2021, I started getting this strange, persistent itch on the top of my scalp. No dandruff, no rash, just this nagging sensation that wouldn't quit. I'd scratch without even noticing. I switched shampoos, got a humidifier, even changed my pillowcases. Nothing helped. It was my grandson who noticed first. "Grandpa," he said, "you're scratching your head again." That night I did something I should have done weeks before. I sat down, looked up what itchy scalp might really mean after 60. And what I found startled me. According to a study from the National Institute on Aging, persistent itchy scalp in seniors can sometimes be linked to early signs of type 2 diabetes or iron deficiency anemia. Both conditions affect the skin's ability to retain moisture, and worse, they mess with your nerve endings, causing itch without any rash or visible irritation. Then I remembered Helen, a woman from the nursing home I volunteer at once a week. She's 84 and has the sharpest wit I've ever known. She always wore hats, even indoors. One day I asked her why. She smiled and said, "So I stopped scratching my scalp and embarrassing myself." Turns out she had been diagnosed with low iron a few months prior, and her itchy scalp was the only symptom for weeks. She now takes iron supplements, adds lentils and spinach to her meals, and the itch, mostly gone. We often think about senior health in terms of the big things: blood pressure, arthritis, memory, but it's often the small, itchy, annoying things that are your first warnings, and sometimes those are the things that can be caught early if you listen to your body. So let me ask, have you had an itchy scalp that just won't quit? If yes, maybe it's time to look a little deeper, and if you know someone over 60 dealing with the same thing, maybe send this video their way. We're not just sharing advice, we're sharing life lessons from the elderly that might just save someone years of discomfort or worse. 4. Itchy legs at night, a hidden circulatory issue. You wouldn't believe how many older adults I've met who complain about itchy legs, especially at night. I used to think it was just dry skin from too much soap or hot showers. But when I started waking up scratching my calves at 2 or 3 a.m., I knew something wasn't right. There was no rash, no bumps, no allergy. Just this deep, crawling itch under the skin like something wasn't flowing right. One afternoon at the community center, I sat beside Frank, 81, who had always been one of the most active guys in our group. We got to talking, and I mentioned my itchy legs. He looked at me and nodded. That's how it started with me, too. Turns out it was poor circulation, peripheral artery disease. The blood wasn't getting where it needed to go. Frank's story sent me to the doctor, and sure enough, early signs of chronic venous insufficiency. My veins weren't pumping blood back up from my legs efficiently. That itch? That was oxygen-starved skin and poor waste removal. My body was trying to say, something's wrong down here. According to the American Heart Association, itching in the lower limbs, particularly when paired with swelling or cramping, can be an early warning of vascular issues. Left untreated, it can increase the risk of blood clots, ulcers, and even stroke. What helped me? Elevating my legs in the evening, walking more, compression socks, and less sugar. It didn't go away overnight, but I stopped waking up clawing at my calves. So, if you're feeling itchy down there, especially in the evening, don't ignore it. It's not just dry skin, it could be your circulatory system struggling to keep up with you. And if this hits home or reminds you of someone in your life, pause this video and share it with them. Sometimes elderly wisdom isn't about dramatic stories, it's about noticing the little signs before they become big ones. 5. Persistent itch around the ankles. A liver signal. You can't ignore this last one. It's the most surprising of all. Itchy ankles. Harmless, right? That's what I thought. Until I met Josephine. Josephine is 76, a retired nurse, and someone I shared meal tables with at our assisted living home for nearly 3 years. She always wore long socks, even in summer. One evening, I finally asked her about it. "It's the itching," she said. "My ankles burn every night. I've seen dermatologists, tried every cream. Turns out it was my liver." That shocked me. But she was right. According to the Cleveland Clinic, chronic itchiness around the ankles and lower legs, especially if it's worse at night, can be an early symptom of cholestasis, a condition where bile flow from the liver is reduced or blocked. When bile salts build up in the skin, they cause an intense, hard-to-relieve itch. And older adults are especially prone to this. The strangest part? There's usually no rash, no visible problem, just a relentless urge to scratch. And unlike dry skin, lotion doesn't help much. Josephine adjusted her diet, cut down on saturated fats, and worked with a liver specialist. It didn't cure it completely, but it got better. And her liver numbers? Way improved. It taught me a lesson. The body whispers before it screams. And around 70, you'd better start listening. If you're over 60, 70, or beyond and you've been dealing with strange itches in specific spots, don't write it off as aging. Look closer. Ask questions. Get checked. And before we move to the final takeaway, can I ask you one thing? If even one part of this video made you pause and think, leave a comment below. Tell me where you've been feeling it. You'd be surprised how many of us are dealing with the same quiet signs.
The truth is, after 60, our bodies begin to talk differently. Not through pain or sharp warning bells, but through small things. A strange itch, a sleepless night, a shift in energy. And too often we ignore them. But this is the age of awareness. You've lived long enough to know that catching things early makes all the difference. So whether it's your scalp, your back, your calves, or your ankles, listen to your body. These are not just itches. They are invitations to pay attention, to dig deeper, to advocate for your health. As someone who's been through more than a few hospital rooms, I'll tell you this. Regret is heavier than diagnosis. Don't wait. And if you haven't yet, consider subscribing to this channel. Not because it's trendy, but because we're building something real here.
a place where senior voices matter, where every video delivers elderly wisdom, advice for the elderly, and life lessons from old men and women who have lived, learned, and want to pass it on. This is Tranquility Wisdom. Stay sharp, stay kind, and most of all, stay aware.